You ever see a really successful company just hit a wall? I mean, they're doing great. They've blown past that $100 million mark, but then all of a sudden, growth just flatlines. It's this super frustrating plateau, and today, we're going to break down the playbook for absolutely shattering it.
This question right here, this is what keeps leaders of really solid, established businesses up at night. You know you've got a fantastic product, a rock-solid reputation in your specific niche, but you just can't seem to break through to that next level of scale. It really feels like you're hitting an invisible wall.
So let's put a name to this thing. We'll call it the $100 million plateau. It's that point where all the strategies that got you here are just not enough to get you there. And the funny thing is, the problem usually isn't about needing a new, better product.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The solution is almost always hiding in plain sight. Your most powerful asset, that trust you've worked so hard to build with your business clients, is basically locked away. So the key isn't a new product, it's about unlocking a brand new path for that trust to flow into a much, much wider market. To really bring this to life, let's dive into the case of a company called BXXXCare. Now, they make these specialized nutritional supplements, and they were a super trusted name inside professional long-term care facilities, a classic B2B success story. But that huge consumer home care market, it was a total blind spot for them. Their goal was pretty ambitious, to stop being just a product sold in a specific channel and become a real leader brand in the minds of everyday people. And just so you know, this isn't some business school theory. Check this out. A 34.5% surge in their brand new consumer market. That pushed the entire company's revenue past $12.4 million. Yeah, this strategy works. So, how on earth did they do it? All right, let's get into the first part of the playbook. It all starts with taking that trust they already had and making it visible, making it tangible, and, most importantly, making it defensible. They basically built what I like to call a fortress of trust. And this fortress had three very strategic layers. First, they tackled a really basic user problem: taste. By making their supplement actually enjoyable, they went from being just a functional product to a human-centered one. Second, they built faith, not on marketing claims, but on proven results, highlighting that it was effective in 6 days with real-world proof. And third, the final piece, the capstone: authority. And this slide just illustrates that final layer perfectly. They took their hidden B2B strength, the fact that they were used by over 800 professional facilities, and they made it their headline. Then, they stacked a government certification right on top of it. This 1-2 punch of professional choice and national approval, it created this undeniable argument for the brand's credibility. It's just bulletproof. Okay, so the fortress is built. It's strong. Now what? How do you get people from a completely different kingdom, the consumer market, to actually recognize it and care about it? Well, this next phase is all about what we call the trust transfer. You see, the traditional way of thinking is that B2B and B2C are two totally separate worlds. But the breakthrough here is to see them as completely integrated. Your B2B partners, they're not just customers. They are your most powerful brand ambassadors. The B2C market, that's just the battlefield where you go to cash in on all that incredible brand equity. So here's exactly how they put that into action. First, they strengthened their B2B relationships with educational support, which turned those professionals into genuine advocates. Then they took that killer core message, trusted by 800+ facilities, and they plastered it all over their consumer marketing. And finally, they started applying smart, proven retail tactics to really light a fire under consumer sales. Let's look at one of those retail tactics specifically. Before they made this change, their average online order was about 2,626 new Taiwan dollars. I mean, that's respectable, but they knew they could do a lot better. Then they ran a simple spend and get campaign, but instead of some cheap little freebie, they offered a really desirable high-value gift. And look at that jump. The average order value absolutely skyrocketed. This just proves that when you apply smart B2C tactics to a foundation of B2B trust, the results can be incredibly powerful. So here's the crucial point. None of this was guesswork. If you're going to scale past that $100 million mark, you have to move beyond just intuition. The next key for them was shifting from making gut feel decisions to using a data-driven framework to guide everything. You know, the real power of data isn't just seeing what's working. It's that it lets you act like a doctor. It lets you diagnose the exact problem. Is your bottlenecks that not enough people know you exist? Or maybe people are visiting your site but just not buying?
Or are they buying once and then never coming back? When you get a precise diagnosis, you can prescribe an effective treatment. And this is exactly what that treatment looks like. Data showed them that younger buyers, who were often buying for their parents, were all online. So they deployed an online air force with influencers and bloggers. But for the older demographic, who tend to trust offline sources more, they used ground troops, things like pamphlets, community events, and in-store pharmacist programs. Two totally distinct strategies, both born from the data. Okay, now for the final, and maybe the most important, piece of this whole puzzle. A great campaign can get you a nice spike in sales, sure, but for sustainable long-term growth, you have to stop thinking about one-off transactions and start building real relationships. Their toolkit for this had 3 key components. First, a CRM system so they could understand and talk to their best customers personally. Second, a focus on a seamless online to offline or OMO experience. That just means connecting the digital journey, like discovering a product online, with the physical one, like being able to easily pick it up in a local store. And third, a campaign to encourage user-generated content. And let's just pause on that last one, UGC, because it is an absolute game changer. It's any content, we're talking reviews, social media posts, videos, that's created by your real customers, not by your marketing department. In today's world, it is hands down the most authentic and persuasive marketing you can possibly have. And believe me, it works. A single campaign by BXXXCare generated 177 genuine, heartfelt testimonials from real users. That is an army of authentic marketers that no amount of advertising budget could ever hope to buy. So when you put it all together, what do you get? You get this powerful, simple formula. A clear strategy brought to life through flawless execution, and all of it constantly guided and refined by hard data. That's the blueprint. Which really leaves us with one final question to think about for your own business. Are you just focused on the next sale, the next transaction, or are you using every single asset you have, especially the hidden ones, to build a lasting brand business? The answer to that could be the key to your next big breakthrough.